I was born July the 8th, 1951, in Union County, New Albany, Mississippi. I have three brothers and one sister. And the oldest one was George Cannon, Robert Bobby Johnson, Willie Jane Johnson, the boys, and the girl was Rosie Scales. She didn't live with us coming up. She was in Baldwin. That's where my dad's from. My mother is out of Lafayette County, and my dad was out of Prentice County. He was out of Guntown, Mississippi. My dad was in construction, so to speak, and him and my mom married. Got together. That I don't know. The thing about what I'm saying, the history about my dad was he died with. I was 6 months old at the time, so that's all I can remember about him. But he had tuberculosis, TB, what we call tuberculosis, and he died when I was 6 months old. So that's all the remembrance I have of him. But his parents and his grandparents was all from Guntown, Mississippi. And my mother, after that time, she never did remarry, what I'm saying, so she raised all of us. Plus my sister was on she stayed in Baldwin in the area there, so she didn't come up in the same household with my brothers and I. So it was just my mother and my three brothers.
She raised y'all?
Yes, and never did remarry after all that time.
So you're the baby?
Yes, I'm the baby boy of the four of us, three boys and a girl. Yes. Well, growing up, we had my mother had a niece that lived with us, her and her kids. Her name is Susan Mae Howard. And she had two boys and a girl, Sam, Robert Pistol McGlunn, and Constant Howard, which is Connie. And Barb, wow, I forgot about Barbara. So anyway, they used to live with us together at the house. I mean, my aunt, I call her, but anyway, she was our first cousin. Well, my mother's niece, but her mother was my mother's sister, and they lived with us growing up and all that stuff. So they came out of Lafayette County, Oxford, and they kind of grew up with us. So they stayed with us for many years, all the way up. And I also had a first cousin that lived with us named Quintilla McGlunn. So he also lived with us, and I guess he was the babysitter of the family. And that's only family members that live in the community with us.
Where did you live growing up? What area of town or the county?
The growing up part is here, what we call where the school is now. That's Oak Street. I think that's Oak Street. Go all the way down through there. But anyway, we stayed across from the school. But we moved several places, but we still stayed in the same neighborhood. So we got, fortunately we got burnt out twice. Burnt out twice. The house burnt across the street from the school. I guess I was in the 9th grade, somewhere in there. No, lower than that. I probably was in the 7th grade. We moved next door to a house that was with us next door. We stayed there about a year. We got burned out there. And then we moved there to over on Morton Street, which is a block over from the neighborhood, the same neighborhood, but kind of in the same area. We never lived in the country, so we always stayed in the city. And we moved from there to behind Washington Grove Church now today. We stayed there for a while, a year or two. And from there, we moved to Lincoln Street. So now we went on the north side of town. So we stayed there. And those are the last area of residence that we had. And the fires, back in those days, whatever, we had a wooden stove, what you call. Most of the time, during the wintertime. So we had the fire going, and sparks probably fly, and that's high ignited. Wasn't nothing electrical. That's what I'm saying. And it happened in both places. In the first house we stayed in, it was the Beasley Funeral Home, which by being real young, I wasn't aware that we were staying at a funeral. All I know, we had shelter over our heads. But anyway, it was the original Beasley Funeral Home, so we moved in there after they relocated to where they are today on Bankhead. And so anyway, after it burned down, we moved next door, and we got burned out there. But in the meantime, when we were next door, the building we was in before, the Highs and them bought it, and they built what we call now today, they call it the Tropicana. But anyway, that's what built in. They bought it in built in that spot. But they made it into a cafe.
Okay.
And they call it the Tropicana. So it's right there on the hill. As you get ready to descend down the hill, it's right there.
Is it still there?
No, no, it's not there now. But that's just another hangout cafe that they had in the city that we can go to. Most of it, he built it for a younger generation. Yeah. I think the school was the other property where the other house burned. All that belonged to the city.
Your dad was in construction?
Yes. Matter of fact, he was part of, being a worker, he was still, didn't get any recognition, but he was part of maybe the Tallahatchie Bridge down there. He was part of that, some of the roads around here, but he was in the construction side. So he has some fingers in some of the building that's been built in the city of New Albany.
Other than obviously raising a house full of kids, did your mom work?
Yes, she worked as a homemaker, and she worked for the legendary Mr. Curtis Daniel. They used to. He was in charge of a supermarket called Big Star, and she worked for him and raised the kids, Larry and Diane, the kids there, and they lived on Central Avenue. And later on, the building was, I don't know that street. It's where, it's across from Bankhead, where the chiropractor office is now.
Dr. Martin's
yes.
office?
The Big Star used to be there, is what I'm saying, when she first started out. So it was there for a few years and then moved over to where the Bank of New Albany is now on 15. That used to be the Big Star there. Yeah. But anyway, it was owned by the Daniels. Right, where I'm getting at. So that's who she worked for. She worked for a homemaker all life for them.
How many of your siblings are still living?
One. The only sibling living now is Willie. He's 2 years older than I am. So he's married and living in Pontotoc, Mississippi now. He married Linda Robinson.
Do you know anything about your grandparents and what they did?
Mostly sharecroppers. That's all they did over there. I mean, in Guntown. They was more in the field of what's called the fruit trees now, peach trees, apple trees. They had like orchard. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm looking for. So they was part of that. Had a lot of land over there and did that. And they came and visit. Well, Grandpa used to come and visit New Albany. My dad's side and all my grandparents and all them, they had longevity lives. I can remember, every one was like, when they passed, it was like over 100 when they passed. Granddaddy, grandma, his sisters, my dad's sisters, man, long life. Long life on their side. My earliest memory is I was in the 7th grade, I think I was like 12. I used to be the shortest person in the class, and we all played what we call pickup games, football, tackle, all that stuff, on the playground down at the Shadydale Park field. I was playing football one Sunday evening and cut my ligament in my right knee. So I was in a cast for about 6 weeks or more or whatever, and I grew out of 3 casts in that same summer. So my 9th grade year, when I went to school, I was the shortest in my class. And by the end of that year, I had grown 6 inches. So I ended up, at the end of my senior year, I went from the shortest in my class to the tallest in my class. All because of that ligament I cut in my right knee. Before that, see, I've been the youngest, all the clothes and stuff, I was wearing hand-me-downs. So hand-me-downs meaning it went from the oldest brother, everybody was passing clothes down like that. So when I got taller and younger, she had to buy me newer clothes because I couldn't wear those anymore.
Do you remember what your mom's personality was like?
She was all the above. She's the mother, the father, the sister, the brother. She doing everything, did whatever she had to do to provide for us. Even if it included, I call bootlegging. She bootlegged a little bit. I mean, not a little bit, but she bootlegged a lot. Got put in jail for that and all this. But she did what she had to do to survive, to provide for us. And I'm not saying, it's hard talking about that.
What is your mom's name?
They call her Lena.
Lena?
Lena. See, Carlina was a middle name. Mabel was her first name, but everybody in the neighborhood called her Mama Lena in the neighborhood. That's what she called. She did a lot for the whole, I'm saying she was the pillar in the community, I call. Made sure we all went to church, all that, every Sunday, regardless how late we stay out on weekends, Saturdays, playing. But she did so much, sacrificed a lot. Right. I appreciate it. Words, just not enough words. But she was great. By me being the baby boy, being the baby of the group, I was the one that doing all the driving. I took her everywhere. When we was able to get a car, when we did get a car, we had an old white 1950 Chevrolet we call White Cloud. But I drove her everywhere. She knew everything. I mean, she knew all the streets, all the back roads. I didn't remember anything, but she can tell me I drive, and she'd tell me when to turn, when not to turn, and all that. But she never had driving license, could never drive. But I took her everywhere she wanted to go. Loved fishing. Oh, took her to fishing, but that was her quiet time. She loved fishing. Great fisherman. Just want to say she is a big name in the community. Well, everybody respect her. In that, she showed a lot of love to the community. She passed in November '81, and I was 30.
Did you stay with your mom?
Yes. Last one there.
You're very
They call it get kicked out of the nest, so to speak. Yeah. When she passed, I was in the military at the time. I didn't go to military till I was 25. I joined the service, and she died 5 years after I went in. She passed with lung cancer. She was, all her kids, everybody was grown at the time. She made that path, I guess, it gave you that direction. Not direction, but gave you all kind of skills. I call it skills. By being all boys in the house, she learned how to cook. Well, I can't cook all the fancy stuff, but you iron your clothes, you sew. She learned everything you need to do to survive in case she's not around. I call her a jack of all trades, what I'm saying. As a mom, I said she had all the titles, not very much, not educated at all, but knew everything. Just knew. She could talk about anything, everything, whatever. Very godly woman. Wow. But never did run for office. Very well known in the community, but never ran for office. She might have went through the 5th grade or something, higher she could have gotten. Then my oldest brother, George, he was, I think he dropped out. I call it dropped out, but he left school at an early age, meaning he started working as a teenager, like 13. And as he went along and got up in age, so he just helped out, and he traveled, ended up moving in his adult life, ended up married and moving to Illinois, Rockford, Illinois. And he always come back. Visit. We used to visit up in Rockford, Illinois during the summers when I was younger. So we go visit him in the summers. And that helped. That was a great experience, because what I'm saying, he left Mississippi during my younger days, and he went to Illinois. So we go up there in the summers. I'm still the youngest one, but anyway, they say my speech didn't sound like I was Southern, because I guess I got it from up there when I went up to Illinois and stayed with him during the summer, so my dialect changed from being Southern. So they told me I didn't have a Southern drawl, so maybe that contributed to the fact. We belongs to a church there now, still on Baker, Hall's Chapel, Methodist church, and we went there, and that's where she made us, she had us go there every Sunday, but anyway, we were there, and we do Sunday school, and back then, kids be want to leave at preaching time, so there always another adult to make us come back and there and stay for preaching, so they can have a big audience. But anyway, that's where it came up, and eventually we left there, and she started going to Watson Grove. And you had your Sunday school clothes, shoes, and you only wore those clothes only on Sundays. So when we come back home, we had to take them off and then get in our play clothes. So she made sure that one pair of shoes, that was Sunday school, so you couldn't wear that.
What businesses that were African American owned do you remember in New Albany?
Well, being in the city here, we had Bud Turner's Cafe, but that's mostly for the adults. We had Beasley Dugout. That was entertainment there for young and old. Pool hall underneath of it. We had Hazel Simmons Cafe. That was over on Church Street in the city. We had, the Tropicana came later, right? That was on the hill there. And we had Miss Hill grocery store, Howard Snack Bar and Hotel. That's right there in my neighborhood. I call the country part, we call it St. Mary on Bratton Road out there. We had Miss Rosie Shackler, she had that going on out there, a cafe out there on that side. Matter of fact, a lot of us didn't have vehicles, so we walked out to the country, and now with our country friends or classmates, we'd walk into town and we would party. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes my mother, to entertain the kids, she had what we called back then a wiener roast. We have a little fire going back there, and playing music and entertainment, and that's how she entertained the neighborhood. So everybody would come there at our house, stuff like that. We had Boo's grocery store, but that's the grocery store. That wasn't cafe or nothing. Black business. Well, we had the Gibson barbershop / restaurant in the same building next door, so they had that, and we had Ivy's taxi service, so another business that we had going on there for transportation wise. Yeah, mostly in the Ford area. Where the school is down at Oak Street and Baker Crossing, That's where you got the Howard's Motel at. Then you had the Hill's Grocery there. Those were there. Then you go one block over, you had Hazel Center's Cafe and booze stores on top of the hill. All this is in the little circle, I call it. Yeah, in the same little neighborhood. But Turner's Cafe, which is downtown, so in the town park across the tracks here, and the other one that was out in I would call it St. Mary area. They had Rosa Shacklett had her cafe out there. That's the only one that was out further than the rest of them, but everybody else was kind of close. Well, what I'm saying, we walk sometime, some weekend, or maybe Friday night, we'll walk out to St. Mary on foot. I tell you, everybody didn't have a car, so we just walked. And then the ones, our friends and classmates in the St. Mary community will come to town on Saturday nights and hang out with us like that. At midnight, they'll walk back in the dark. Where I live, they call it the Hill. We go over a block through the park. You're in Goose Holler, stuff like that. And we'll go down towards below Oak Street on Central, and we call that you down in Dom area. They call it Dom. Why they call it Dom, I don't know, but that's the name they lean to. So we had the Hill, the Dom, Goose Holler. I'm trying to think what we call St. Mary. I mean, not St. Mary, North Side. Stephen Quarters, yeah. Over here by Union Lumber Company, we call that area Stephen Quarters. Mr. Stephen used to own it. I believe he,
okay.
but he called it Stephen Quarters, but they really were just shack houses. I call them what do you call them? Shotgun houses. I mean, but it's just a little area of houses in that area next to, but it was on Stevens, on the housing area, what I'm saying. So we call it Stephen Quarters. They call it the sub now because they started building the subdivision of houses over there. That's why they call it the sub. And then if you get to the end of Stanton Street, they call it Bunker Hill. So that's going out to Central Avenue. When you get over in that area, then they call it Bunker Hill over there.
And so other than the Stevens Quarters over here, this was just the north side?
Right, it's north side now because all that's gone now. Torn or removed. Dom is gone. We call it Dom there. Right before Dom was right at the end of Baker Street in Central, and Dom was right there next to now the bike trail. See, all those houses there is not there anymore anyway. So Dom is not in existence no more. Not on anybody's tongue anymore.
So
because
that would
all
have
those,
been everything from South Central to the trail, that whole kind of
right. As Baker come down the hill and you go straight, but anyway, you can't go straight no more. It's just a house there, but it's Central there, and it's just a little square of I think we had 6 or 7 houses off in there like that. What I'm saying, but it goes from there to the bike trail behind the cocoa plant where the compress is. That used to be across from the compress. Used to be an ice house.
Oh.
That used to be the ice house where we got ice, a big block of ice back in those days. Right.
The little store that is across the street from BF4 now, that's not open, but it obviously was a store.
Right. That was Beasley and them. Beasley, Tommy Beasley, their parents, Doc Beasley. That used to be kind of like a ice cream. Well, they served ice cream, but it was like a little mini store, I call. You can get little snacks and ice cream out of there, soda pop, stuff like that, like a candy store.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It was geared towards kids,
right?
School,
yeah. Right.
And stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of all of these communities that you have listed, are they still like predominantly African American communities?
Yeah, most of them are. I mean, they still are. They, but now they have interracial couples in there now. But most of like the sub, I want to say it's mostly still African Americans. Yeah, I want to say the South. I call that the South Side. Pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much still that way. Well, my nickname was Mike, and my real name is Miles. But as growing up, and even when I went to college, everybody know me as Mike. And that's what I used when I was in high school. My mother would call me that, and my brother would call me that. So when I go out and play, they was all calling me Mike. And the weird thing about it is back in the day, you wasn't able to hold your official documents like your birth certificate, stuff like that. Parents them always had them locked up. You never see it. So what happened was, in my case, I can only speak of me. I went to graduate, and they asked for your birth certificate to get put it on your diploma, your correct name. Before that, my mother told me get the birth certificate. She went to get my birth certificate, and she handed it to me, and I looked at it and gave it back to her and told her, "No, this ain't the right one. This got Miles on it. I'm looking for Mike." And she said, "Boy, that's you." I said, "What?" So anyway, she telling me my name is Miles, and one of her favorite girlfriends, I call, named me Miles during birth, and so I went to doing my senior year. I put in my senior year. So my senior year, before I see my birth certificate, I was writing my name M-Y-L-E-S. And the reason I wrote M-Y because one day at the table, there used to be a brand of salt that was out called Miles Salt, M-Y-L-E-S. So I didn't think about the Miles, M-I-L-E-S. So through high school, I wrote M-Y-L-E-S. On my diploma, high school diploma, it was M-Y-L-E-S.
Did that cause problems for you later in the Army?
Well, yes, because, not the Army, Social Security.
Uh-huh.
So I changed, what I'm saying, when I filed for my Social Security card, I wrote M-Y-L-E-S on it. So for years, like I said, I didn't go join the service till I was 25. I joined the service, Army. And when I joined the service, I changed, meaning they have your birth certificate and all that. So it had M-I on it. But I left my Social Security card as M-Y. So I changed it later on in life. Well, after I joined the service, I had to change my Social Security. Kept the same number, but changed the Y to I.
Who were your best friends growing up?
Well, they mostly relatives, boys, beaux. I got like Aubrey Keaton, all my classmates, Aubrey Keaton, Billy Joe Dunn, some of my brother's friend, Rufus Hill, which some of them was older than I was, but looked up to them because my brother hung out with a certain group, and I had to sing out a certain group. Herbert Bowles, that's relatives. We even had families and cousins that were the same way. I had my cousin Connie, we call her Snap, another nickname there. Gloria Bowles, her name Gloria Washington now.
Did you enjoy school?
Yes, but mostly not not being studious. I wasn't a very good studious person at the time. Mostly was into sports, and that's what I did mostly, was sports. But I did what I would call back in those days, I did enough to get by, to pass enough. I even took up a few things like I told you, my mother tried to instill us different little skills things. So in my junior and senior year, I took up typing. So mostly that was a thing about men. That was a skill that mostly females do, the typing. But I took up typing and learned how to type real good. Well, I was real good in that, so I picked up pretty good. I wanted to get into what they call it, economics, home economics, right? I wanted to get in there to do the sewing and the cooking stuff with the other females. But see, at that time, they wasn't allowing men in, they call that females classes. But I like that too. But like I said, my mother showed us how to do a little sewing, a button on or something like that, Well, we had what we call industrial arts, where you make wood projects or something like that, metal project, welding, stuff like that. But mostly ours, we came up with a wood shop. And Mr. Charlie Woodruff was the teacher of that. And he, all the males was in that class. Well, no females in it. But anyway, that was the difference. I know later. We had industrial arts, and the women had home economics. That was the separation. Mm-hmm. They would probably say I was fashionable, athletic, comical. That was probably describing the way it is. A woman's man, he might throw that in there for some reason. I don't know. He probably thought I was handsome or something. I like girls, whatever, at the time. Caring, kind, respectful, and friendly. I had some great memories at school. And then I had to give all the credit to the teachers. The teacher was the driving force in all areas of respect. Being in sports, you got the coach, big time mentor, Mr. Ernest Kennedy. I had my science teacher, John Dorton. I had the coach's wife, Miss Camilla Kennedy. She taught English. I had what's his name? Robert Holland. Robert Holland, I believe, taught math. So all of them had a part in grooming you as a male coming through their classes, because you had to be respectful in their class, and they demanded that. And we was all, very respectful, very respectful. So all the teachers, I give all props to all the teachers, and they all, all the adults, all the teachers, everybody sees something in you that you don't see in yourself, and they try to bring that out of you, and they did. I think they did that. I had one, Mr. Dorton, he always called me Lou Alcindor, from the basketball player for UCLA, of the way my game was played, but he always called me Lou Alcindor. That was the nickname he gave me as a teacher, Lou Alcindor. Wow, but it's great. We had a cafeteria, which is next to the main school building, and they always had, we didn't have like breakfast like they do some of the kids nowadays. So when we do have lunch, go through lunch, you had selection of chocolate milk or sweet milk. Most of the time they would have hamburgers or hot dogs always on the plate. That's what it wasn't nothing like no full meal like greens, cabbage, all that steak, nothing like that. Mostly I call snack food. It was, well, what I'm saying, it's still healthy. You had a fruit, orange, apple, but the milk, and but mostly it normally was served was hot dogs and hamburgers. I remember those very well too. If you normally supposed to pay, I think they've taken up the pay at the beginning and going in there. And if you were one of the kids that was in line that didn't have no money, they still allowed you to go through and eat. I remember all those good days. So everybody still ate.
Do you remember how old you were when people started talking about desegregation?
Maybe my 10th grade, sophomore year in school. And mostly it was, what I'm getting at is, it wasn't that forcefully or conversation that was in my household all that time, but things grew as the year Martin Luther King got killed, right up the street, I call it up the street, in Memphis, and that was a big impact here. But what I'm saying is, it wasn't, the racism wasn't as hard, I call hard or harsh, as the other cities took it and protests and all that. Here in New Orleans, I can only say here in New Orleans, but we're very well aware of it, of what was going on, and that led to a lot of I call my era, a lot of non-protesting. What I'm saying, my friends or whatever, we didn't go busting down the street, we didn't run through the town or city, breaking out windows, turning over cars and all that stuff. We didn't do all that, but I was well aware of what it was and what it meant.
Yeah, it was happening.
Yes.
What year did you graduate from BF4?
I graduated in May 1969.
So that was right at
the year next to it. But so what's so strange about my class of 69, the integration started fully, what I'm saying, to go to they call it Daniel at that time. Everyone's supposed to dissolve in '68 on the integration. Ford's supposed to left, shut down and go to Daniel and the surrounding schools. My class approached the principal of our school at that time, Miss Inez Ford, and we petitioned as seniors at that time, and enough time for us to stay one more year, because when we were seniors, we wanted to do Ford our last year, even though we had the superintendent to tell us that '68 was the last year, but we petitioned anyway. And we petitioned it, and it went through, and I believe it was Superintendent Bryan at the time, I believe. And they approved us staying open one more year, so that's why my class of '69 was able to be the last official class at BF Ford. I was afraid to make the change of not graduating or with this new implement of integration and being coming to Daniel, that I would have an opportunity to graduate. Yeah, big fear, and that was part of why we wanted to do it to get that. And then the other thing was, when she got it approved, there were other teachers that stayed back that last year of '69, and what I'm saying, they volunteered to stay back and teach another year, is what I'm saying, before they actually left. And after that, if you lived in the county and wanted to stay one more year, they cut out the whole bus system of my '69 year. So if you stayed in the county, you would have to get your own transportation. Like I said, a lot of us family didn't have transportation. Some did, some didn't, but anyway, majority didn't have transportation. So they put it out. If you come back to Ford, your parents didn't have to bring you to school, because there wasn't no buses running, none. So the one that couldn't do that went on to the county school in their area, their community where they lived at. So that's what I'm saying. That's how they got branched out to Myrtle, West Union, East Union, Ingomar, like that. And I had some classmates. Well, we had a lot of students that didn't come back to '69. So my class ended up being 35 seniors, I think, 35 or 37. That's how small our graduating class was.
What would it have been?
Well, we were like,
with the buses.
Yeah, we if the class stayed the same, we've been over 60. We've probably been double that. We might have had no more than 75.
Yeah. So at least half of the kids.
Right. Half of them wasn't able
or
to come
more than
back.
Half, maybe.
Right.
And so the other kids, like the younger kids, were they forced to integrate that year, or did they?
Well,
I'm
trying to think. I thought they went. Well, I thought the elementary side stayed too. It did. I believe they did. The building on top is a high school, and we had the other building here, which was the elementary side. So I think it still stayed open one more year. Still some stayed, and some. That's one.
They were just kids who could get there.
Most of that was in the city.
Yeah.
Right. They stayed in the city limits. Right. Correct.
Or get there or something.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember people talking about integration?
Yeah, it was in conversation. Your household. You go to church. It's spoken there. I mean, you go to friends' houses, visitation. I mean, meet people on the street. Meet someone on the corner. That would come up. But like I say, it wasn't the what I call it wasn't the fire. That's not the right word, but it wasn't no angry about it. What I'm getting at, or I'm trying to say, we knew about it and we know what was going on. I mean, it's the same time we're coming up, white fountain, color fountain, but it wasn't nothing that we would demonstrate. When I say we, the blacks, that we all get together and big old mob go down the street protesting this and that. Wasn't anything like that. It was mostly on what can we do collectively to make this be a smooth transition is the word I'm looking for. You know.
Do you think that the way that the community handled that, the smooth transition instead of the angry side, do you think that is because of the leadership of your teachers and administration? And
yes, I mean that's
that?
what I'm saying. They led that, and they was out front in that, and it was because not only were they was trying to tell us what we had to do as students to make this transition smoothly, the teachers never had to do the same thing. Because a lot of the teachers that did, some of them, well, when I'm saying some, there were some that went in to the high school, some went to the elementary school, well, after that. But some of them lost their position from the forward school. So in other words, just like Coach Kennedy, I'll just use him for example. If he was the head coach at forward, he transferred to New Albany and doing integration, and he went from head coach to assistant coach. See what I'm saying? At being in that position, but he still was in the physical education department and still stuff like that. So that was good. Some of the other teachers might have been head of their English department or something like that. Everybody took a downgrade. What I'm saying, I think it calls a downgrade, but they still were there and stayed there for so long. However, some of them did. Some of them moved on to another position or another school, but they did make the transfer and found work there. So they was hired. Someone was hired there. Only fear I had was going there and not getting the grades. They'd be prejudiced on your scaling of your grades, or try to flunk me out of. That was the only fear I had. Me mentally. I mean, but just the transition. I mean, we have white friends all the time. Is what I'm saying.
How did you have white friends?
Well, what I'm saying with white friends, we played what we call sandlot balls on weekends. So, in sports-wise, we'll play what we call pickup basketball games, football games. So we mingle with some of the white friends that on our field, or we come down here to their field, and some of the what I'm saying, some of the neighborhoods, especially the country, I want to say, and some in the city too. If we was next door neighbors to some of the white families, their sons, we just mean what we call, I put it like this, even the adults might have had their friction, but kids didn't have their friction. So that's why we were still friends. Just like my mother worked for the Daniels and them. But their kids, they were smaller than I was, younger. But their business, or patronize their business, we run into people of that nature. And some of the white neighbors that were next door knew my mother worked for the Daniels, and their kids, and I come down and visit her. We meet, I sit out there and we talk like that. So we always mingle like that. But mostly mine came from athletics. And one of my favorite guys I played with was Tommy Wilhite, the sheriff. Now he made sheriff and all that. So we growed up, what I'm saying, playing together. But I want to say sports bring in all that relationship for the boys, guys. What I'm saying, we'll play against that because it's all competitive.
Right.
But anyway, we all shake hands afterwards though, but it's all fun and games for us. Well, my brother, Bob, went into the Air Force while I was still in school. He graduated in high school in '64, so I had 5 more years of school. So in '65, next year, he might have went in '64. He might have went to the Air Force in '64. But anyway, he went into the Air Force. By going in the Air Force, he came back home, and I was still in high school, and he was playing drums. So we had a drum set in the house. See, all that got burned up too. All this musical stuff he had and all this stuff got burned up in that too. But anyway, he had a drum set, which I wasn't into music, but Bob had a drum set, and then my brother was competing against playing the drums. So he didn't like the way I drummed. My brother picked it up better than I did. I wasn't musically inclined. I was the athlete of the family, so to speak. Even though they was athlete, but I was a better athlete, I think. But anyway, but he brought his drum set and tried to teach us how to play the drums. But I couldn't. I kept busting the rims on him, so he didn't like the way I played. And but my brother picked it up. Willie picked it up. So Willie played the drums, and I just stick to basketball. So that was my gig there. And him and Sam, what I'm saying, him and Sam was playing. Well, when they finally got together, 'cause both of them were separated. Sam was with him and his brother, Bob, and my brother Willie. They had a little group to call the Messengers, stuff like that. So I just played basketball. I didn't get into the music. I just went to where they played at and tried to catch some women, girls, at the parties. But anyway, so I got in the military. They were still playing. But I would come home and they have gigs. I would go with them when they play different venues. A friend of mine, well, a great friend of mine now, that got me involved. Like I said, Aubrey Keaton and I, after high school, we didn't get any offers to any colleges and stuff like that, but we tried to try out on a couple of schools. We went to Mary Holmes at the time, trying out. We didn't get no scholarship or nothing. We went to Russ College, tried out there. The coach wanted to give us a scholarship, but he wasn't going to give us a full ride, so to speak. But he wanted us, but he didn't want to give us a full ride. So we turned it down. And during that summer, Aubrey and I agreed, and another friend of ours agreed to go into the military together on the buddy plan they had back then. So one weekend or something like that, we had pickup games at our school, and I was at home, and some friends came by my house to get me to say there was a coach at the gym wanted to see me play. I said, "What coach?" So didn't know. He said, "Yeah, come on over there, blah 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 blah." So I got up, went over there. So I found out after I got there, I had the Elvis Thomas was the one. I played ball with Elvis Thomas out of Maryland here, Myrtle. He brought his coach from Northeast named Howard Carter to the gym. We know it was a pickup game, wasn't a real game. So Elvis talked to his coach about me and the way I played, that he wanted him to come and see me play, and that's where that happened. So anyway, I played. I got there and played about a half of a game there. The game was almost over when the guys were there playing. So I got through. I went in the stands and talked to Elvis, introduced me to the Northeast Junior College coach named Howard Carter, and he discussed and said he liked the way I played and liked to offer me a scholarship to come to Northeast. And I said, "Really?" So anyway, it was history. So I accepted, and that's how I got to go to Northeast on a scholarship. And well, basketball scholarship at the time. But I was able to do that because Elvis Thomas talked to his coach to come and watch me and see if I could be able to, well, if I would sign and come with him. But he was the main threat. Well, not threat, but he's the one that got it all started for me to go and be assigned to Northeast. So at the same time, what I'm saying, by him doing that, my partner Aubrey and I told him what I was doing, I got a scholarship. Man, in fact, he was playing that day too. So what he decided to do, like I said, we was going to this buddy plan of going into the Navy all together. It was three of us. So Aubrey and I canceled going in. We didn't go after we took the test and everything. So Aubrey and I went, well, Aubrey went along with me to try out to see if he can make the team, and he did. Well, he made the team, so that's how I was able to go to Northeast on a scholarship. But me and him went together, and we both ended up being, today, we was the first black to play for Northeast Mississippi Junior College in 69 to 71. That was the 2 years there. So anyway, I got there the summer of 69, but Aubrey Keaton and myself was there. Aubrey and I was on scholarship. Aubrey made the team, but Aubrey got his scholarship the second semester which started in January, where the second semester started. So he made the team the second semester. And on top of that, when I got there to register, Coach Howard Carter, the one that gave me the scholarship, he left. So now I got a new coach, and my new coach was Kenneth Lindsay. So Kenneth Lindsay was my coach there that year, and that was Elvis Thomas' sophomore year, so his last year. So I played 1 year with Elvis before he left, and but my coach was Kenneth Lindsay, but he didn't give me the scholarship, so he was the head coach when I got to school that summer. And so we there 2 years and played 2 years. During my time there, I didn't make all state, all conference, no big accolades, nothing like that while I was there. And we had a situation at one of the schools. We went down to, at this time they call it Scuba Junior College. Now they call it East Mississippi. So while we was playing there, on our way there, well, we always have what we call a dinner. Well, you have the sports dinner before you play the game, you know. So anyway, we stopped at this restaurant close in the city of town of Scuba. And we all got off the bus. Coach took us in. We were going through the front door there of the restaurant. Can't remember the name of the restaurant. But anyway, so the owner stopped the coach as we was coming in. You know, of course, I was up front. And if he got in to sit down, the manager told him that we can come in, we meaning Aubrey and I. And so the coach came over and got us, and we went outside. He called us outside, so we went outside and talked to him. So he told us the situation. He said, look, Miles, you're not allowed, they said you're not allowed to eat in here. But as a team, it's up to you and Aubrey. He say, if you guys can't eat here, we not gonna eat. So we didn't eat there. Well, we told him, like, hey, don't bother me, man. Just give me a hamburger or whatever to go. I just get back on the bus. And he said, will y'all be okay with that? He said, yeah. But then what the bottom line, what I'm trying to say is, we end up, Aubrey and I told him that y'all go ahead, y'all eat. Well, we did. We had to go around to the back. So we was in the back kitchen of the restaurant, and they had black cooks. So they all sit outside. They had their little, in the restaurant dining area. So Aubrey and I went into the back of the kitchen to get our meal. But, well, I'm laughing about it because what I'm saying, they got like a hamburger and fries or something. Aubrey and I was in the kitchen with these black cooks in the kitchen. We had steak and potatoes back there. Man, we had, but they gave us a big meal. I mean, a bigger meal than what they had. But anyway, we didn't tell them until later. So anyway, after everybody got through, we got back on the bus and went on to the game. So after the game, what I'm getting at is also the game. That was just a little situation we had there. And we won the game by 1 point. We ended up winning the game, but we won by 1 point. But the referees were very, I call selfish, whatever. They calling fouls on me, you know, wasn't close and all that stuff. But anyway, we went out, we left out, we won the game. The fans throw popcorn on me, sodas, all this stuff. I was under my coat tail and all that. We came on out, but we went in our dressing room, went straight to our bus. But anyway, we got out of there, but we had a little tunnel we go through, and they just dumping everything on us. Called me all kind of names and all that stuff. But anyway, see, that stuff didn't bother me. But anyway, we got on the bus, and some of the students throwed and hit the bus with bottles, whatever they throw. So, you know, we just in there and drove on that. But that was one of the main situations I had racial during my playing time. Other than the officials, everywhere I went, except home. The officials was hard on me, man. And the other thing that happened there, I just like to share this, is when we play at home, I don't know, it was the coach or whatever, but the coach wasn't able to play Aubrey and I the same time at home. But he would come in the game late on, when we behind and pressing. But he wouldn't start. But this the kicker. When we away from home, Aubrey starts. We both starts. But he couldn't do that while we was at home. But we never did, say anything about that. After I left, well, I'm just skipping. After I left Northeast, after my 2 years, maybe many old moons down the road now, a few years, but Northeast started a Sports Hall of Fame for the college. So I went there to I'm trying to see, how you can get in the Sports Hall of Fame, all that stuff. But I went there and I asked the athletic director at that time, which is Forward now. Well, he's the president now. And asked him where I need to fill out some documentation. Not fill out stats on my time when I was here, so I can help fill out the application to submit for the Sports Hall of Fame. So you can be admitted yourself, or someone else can recommend you. What I'm saying. So didn't nobody recommend me at this time. So they might have started the Sports Hall of Fame 1 or 2 years after I decided to put it in. But anyway, I went there. What I went there for was collect data for my playing days. But I was told by the athletic at that time there was nothing. I say nothing. I said, you don't have any books? The only other thing was, I know we didn't have film. They didn't film any of the games during my time there. So they didn't do film. But I know they had books. So I said, I just want to know what your books are. I can go through your books and get out what I did, my average, all this stuff, stats. He said, you don't have anything from my era. So I just want to say that. So that's where I am now. And so I wasn't able to submit anything. So I didn't, I did make this statement. I say, so if anyone don't recommend me, and I'm recommending myself, what you want me to do, lie on the paper? But he didn't have no answer for me. But anyway, I told him I wasn't going to do that. So I said, if it happens, it happens. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying, I was choked up about it because he going to tell me they don't have any books. They destroyed them or whatever. But he told me that they didn't have any books. Nothing on the years I played there. There's people in the Sports Hall of Fame, but not my era. But still, I don't know what all the criteria are. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you had to be made all state, all this, all that to be selected.
Yeah.
But it's none in my era to date.
Yeah.
There's still a light at the end of the tunnel because my mark as a black player there opened up the doors for some black that did make it.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not saying I deserve to be in. That's very hard. But my nephew made it, Anthony Anderson. He made the Sports Hall of Fame during the time he played at Northeast. And another, some blacks that made it, but I'm saying the path that I created opened the door for them. And I feel good about that. The other thing was my coach, when I left Northeast, he did two big things for me, but it was all on me. What I'm saying, at 1971, I was, I can't think the coach's name now for the Ole Miss program in 71. At the time, what I'm saying, with all this happening, I could have, the coach came and asked me for a scholarship to come to Ole Miss, but I turned it down. The reason I turned it down, because he told me, I'm 19 years old now, fully energetic. He told me I couldn't play this year. I have to sit out because I didn't have all the hours to be eligible to play right off. He said I had to be redshirted, being 19. I didn't know what all that meant at the time. So I turned it down. So now I look back, and I was there. I would have been there before Coolidge Ball. Coolidge Ball now is the first black at Ole Miss, and now he have a statue and all that other good stuff. But anyway, that's history. But looking back now at 19, if I had a little more knowledge, not knowledge, but drive, or somebody helped force me to see this picture, I could have been the first at Ole Miss as well. But I didn't. But anyway, I turned it down. So then my coach, Ken Lindsay, had a friend in Memphis. They had that team called the Memphis Tams. And he had a connection to get me in the tryout for the Memphis Tams. It was a professional team called the ABA, American Basketball Association. Now they're called all NBA now. But anyway, the Memphis Tams had a team, and I was gonna go that summer of '71 and try it up there and see if I could make a team. But Memphis sold the team to New Jersey. They call the Brooklyn Nets now, but it used to be New Jersey Nets. But anyway, I was gonna try out for the Memphis Tams that year, and I didn't make it. Well, they sold the team, and I didn't have enough money to go to New Jersey, travel, and then further than that. So that's what missed my opportunity for playing in the NBA and going to Ole Miss. I just like to share that, but the opportunity was there. So on that note, after leaving Northeast, I stayed home. I was the lifeguard for the city here at Shadydale. I went from lifeguard to the manager of the swimming pool. But during the summer, I was there as a manager. I had a scout from Cullman, Alabama. It was a Catholic school in Cullman. Stayed on my doorstep, well, the pool doorstep, the whole time during the summer, trying to get me to come to St. Bernard. I was working in the swimming pool there as the manager now, and teaching other fellas swimming, lifeguard, stuff like that. So now I'm the supervisor running the pool. And I told him, man, I'm enjoying loving this money, man. I don't want to go to back no school. So he stayed there the whole summer. My brother Bob got on me. And they talked me into going. Because at this time, at the end, I was just going to throw this in there. At the end, in the family of 4 boys, I became the first to graduate from college. It wasn't for them. So I took the offer and went the last minute to Cullman College, St. Bernard, and did 2 years over there. and got my degree from St. Bernard College. Stayed out a year at the St. Bernard to try to get a teaching job, try to get in coaching, but phys ed was my major, and couldn't get no job. All the coaches was old; they wasn't going nowhere, so I couldn't get no teaching job. So here I am. I tell you, I'm the last one at the house with Mom. My brother said, "You gotta get up out of here. You need to get out of this house. You're too old to be here with your mother." So that's when I joined the service. That's when I went in there when I was 25. And but I stayed out a year. I mean, what I'm saying, I stayed out a year looking for coaching jobs, teaching job, whatever. But I could get nothing in physical education. My minor was English. Took so many hours in English, so English being my minor. So school out of South Haven called me and asked me, "Would I still interested in teaching?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, we got an opening in English. Do you want to teach English?" I said, "No." And she said, I said, "Well, will it be involved? Will I be in the coaching part in the sport?" She said, "No, that's all for." So I turned it down too because I didn't want to be no English teacher. So that's what led me into the military. 25 years. I mean, well, 25 years old, and I joined 22 years straight. I stayed in the Army, and that was my retirement. I stayed 22 years straight after that.
Wow.
And did sports in Army too. I mean, I got a lot of accolades. Made the All-Army team and all that other good stuff. All-Europe team and all that. But it's mainly not sports in the Army. Still, you got your military job. So I ended up getting one of the highest rank. Ended up being E7 when I retired of 22 years and promotable. But I went on, stopped at 22 and came on out and got one of the, I think, one of the highest, well, I know it is. It's one of the highest medal in peacetime, one of the highest medals in peacetime, called the Legion of Merit. Got that to my credit. Tears of joy, man.
Yeah.
Tears of joy. Great blessing. And I'm saying, "No, that's totally blessed. I couldn't do it. Oh, God. I'm so blessed that I just turned 70. Wow. That in itself is all I need. I mean, I'm satisfied. I mean, all the other little individual awards mean nothing. Nothing to me. Family. And I'm still here. Mom, Dad, brothers, sisters, all angels in it. I'm still here. Totally blessed to be here.